What's up, guys? I'm taking a short break from making my highly edited video essays to do a quick review of The Northman. When I get into spoilers, I'll put up a warning, but it's spoiler-free for now. Not that you should care, as the film tells you the entire plot in the first scene. I'm not kidding. It opens with a disembodied voice telling a truncated version of the tale while a volcano erupts. And that story is basically Hamlet. The film is loosely based on the legend of Amleth, which was the basis for Shakespeare's Hamlet. I mean, they sound similar, so if you know Hamlet, meaning if you took a high school English class, then you already know the story of this movie, pretty much. But this isn't the dainty or emo or pansy Hamlet that we grew up with. Amleth is a beast. He's a Viking prince robbed of his family and throne who grows up to become a berserker. His quest for vengeance takes him all over Europe, from Norway to Ukraine and finally to Iceland. I've been a fan of Eggers ever since his first movie, The Witch. I've gushed about his films and videos of mine in the past, and when I love a director's work, I'm worried that their newest film will be disappointing. That thought of potential disappointment, it lingered over my head as I was walking into the theater. But it all dissipated once the movie began. The film is absolutely enthralling. I couldn't look away from the screen for the entire runtime. Everything felt so necessary, so important. To look away or to leave to use the bathroom even for a few seconds, it felt wrong. I didn't want to miss a single frame. No film this last year has held my attention like this. I see people calling it boring and slow, but I just don't get those criticisms. Upon rewatch, yeah, I already saw it a couple times, it actually felt pretty swiftly paced. There aren't any scenes that drag, even if some scenes and sequences are slower or faster than others. The rhythm of the film, it feels right. The cinematography of this movie is also a masterclass. Eggers really likes to dolly and truck the camera through scenes. There's a fantastic battle scene at the beginning of the film that consists of only like 2 shots. The camera just moves parallel to the action at a medium distance and lets us just witness the brutality of the fighting. If The Lighthouse felt sort of like a Bergman movie, then The Northman feels more in line with the Soviet films. It's obvious that Tarkovsky and Klimov inspired it. There's a pretty strong reference to Come and See, and there's also a scene that feels like a big homage to Andrei Rublev. When I saw it for the first time last week, I thought that this film felt like if Tarkovsky made a Shakespearean action movie. So I looked up some interviews that night, and Eggers described the film as Andrei Rublev meets Conan the Barbarian. That description is pretty spot on. Let's talk about the cast. Everyone is raving about Nicole Kidman in this movie. She is as great as you hear. For some reason, her whole presence on screen feels like she's channeling Bibi Andersson. Maybe just because she's blonde and scanned. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Alexander Skarsgård, of course, delivers a great physical performance as the revenge-driven Viking, and Anya Taylor-Joy, my 3D waifu, brings a delicate femininity as well as a raging passion to her character. There are strong performances all around, but the most memorable ones are the smallest ones. Willem Dafoe as Hymir the Fool and Bjork as Osiris. They're spellbinding. Both these characters are kind of supernatural figures in this world. The world of the Northman isn't completely a world of fiction, but it's also not just a world of fact. It's a world in which the Norse mythology is real and people live according to it. It's not like Thor is coming down to kick ass or anything. People are still living regular lives and every character in the film is just human, but the supernatural exists all around them. Mostly invisible, but still there. I'd hate to call it magical realism because really what Eggers is doing is capturing their world wholly. It's not enough to be historically accurate. You have to also present it with their worldview, as their views shape their actions, their culture, and the world around them. There are a bunch of shots that show the characters as small beings on the bottoms of the frames, with massive landscapes towering over them, showing us how all these people are almost nothing in the eyes of their gods or of the world. From here on out, there will be spoilers. So if you're thinking of seeing The Northman, go see it. It's not that much like Gladiator. I don't know why it keeps getting compared to that by professional film critics when movies like Valhalla Rising exist. Some people are trying to frame this as some weird art film as well. I think Eggers is more like Kubrick in that he blends art film with mainstream film in a way that satisfies people who really like movies and who want to be entertained. It's a fun movie, but it's also got quite a lot to it. The Northman is a badass Viking version of Hamlet, and I think it's easily the best film of the year so far. When the movie comes out on Blu-ray, I'll make an in-depth and highly edited video essay on it. But for now, I just want to share some of my initial thoughts about the themes and messages of the film. The biggest theme or idea throughout the film is this idea of fate. Amleth, after taking the oath to avenge his father, is fated to a life of revenge. Everything that he will do is foretold, and there is no escaping his fate. It goes a little further than the oath though. His mother admits later on that Amleth was forced on her. He was not born of love or free will, so it gives us the feeling that he is a character that has no control over his life. He is an agent of the gods. Some might take this to be a curse, but Amleth comforts in knowing his destiny. When Fjolnir tortures him, Amleth knows that he can't truly hurt him, as the prophecy has not yet been fulfilled. Eggers could have been lazy and just had Amleth remain a static character, but there is a significant character arc within this rigid destiny. Amleth is told by a witch in Iceland that he must choose between kindness for his kin and hatred for his enemies, and I think that shows his differing motivations. He loses the desire for revenge and realizes that he just wants to live a happy life with Olga. But by that time, he's already past the point of no return. By that point, it is Fjolnir who is driven by revenge, and Amleth who is driven by a desire to protect his family. Their roles reverse, but the outcome is the same. Part of his character arc is him transforming from beast to man. His teardrop is taken away from him by Hymir as part of his coming-of-age ceremony, a ceremony in which he barks like a dog and farts to prove that he is man and not beast. From then on out, he's a cold-blooded killer who doesn't mind slaughtering and pillaging entire villages. It's not until the Cirrus gives him his final teardrop and sets him on his way to fulfill his destiny that he starts to regain his humanity. At least that's what we see, and it's Olga who helps bring it back to him. She provides him with a hope for a future that allows him to see past the, past. It's her who helps him achieve his potential. After saving his half-brother from the brute in the sports match, Thorir allows him to choose a woman, and he chooses Olga. During this scene, Thorir says something very profound. He tells Amleth that although he is gaining privileges, he will never be a free man. Thorir is 100% correct in this statement, but he has no idea why. The part where Amleth seeks out Olga and they sleep together is a major homage to the scene in Andrei Rublev where the pagans are running naked through the woods. I didn't want to say it earlier because spoilers, and I would show a clip here, but YouTube doesn't like nudity, so I guess all I can do is to tell you to go watch Andrei Rublev. I got the poster right here. There are two major animals associated with Amleth, the wolf and the raven. His father Arvindil was called War Raven, so when the ravens come to save Amleth from captivity, it's as if his father is helping him from beyond the grave. His father is the raven, but Amleth is the wolf. Even as a child, the adults referred to him as a cub or a puppy. Olga, when she first meets him, calls him a wolf in sheep's clothing. Then, he howls with the wolves and foxes and other canine-like animals, and he seems to have some sort of connection with all of them. So it's interesting that he ends up on Fjolnir sheep farm. He's literally a wolf in sheep's clothing in this scenario, and the second half of the movie is him slowly killing off the sheep in order to get to the shepherd. This plays into the idea of fate too. The wolf kills the sheep because that's just his nature. He's just hungry. Well, Amleth's Nightblade that he got from some Draugr in the mountains is hungry too. However, Amleth unlocks his true potential when he sheds his wolfskin and fulfills his fate as a man. Stepping back for just a minute, his reign of terror on the sheep farm is awesome. It feels like a divine plague that the gods ordained on the place as retribution for Fjolnir's fratricide, with each night becoming more and more nightmarish. The scene where the slaves and guards were tripping on mushrooms in the thick fog and fire was absolute Kino. When he approaches his destiny as a man, he only really finds despair and death. He kills all of his family, not out of hatred or anger, but self-defense, and we can tell that it devastates him. He only does what he does out of love for his two unborn children, who will carry on the family kingdom. And guys, that ending fight scene is amazing. It really felt like two mythical figures just going at it at the gates of hell. The sheer power of those final images really is something to behold. Eggers, he knows how to end a movie. I could go more in depth, but I'm going to leave it here because I will revisit this movie once it comes out on home video, and I can make a proper video on it then. For now, all I can say is that you should go watch it to support interesting filmmakers who are making great and original movies. You can tell that Eggers really respects the source material, and I don't think many other movies this year will top it, for me personally. I wish there were more Viking movies like this, but this year we're getting the Northman and Thor: Love and Thunder. Oh God.